I'd just like to, the notes I put in the first page, in the front of the book, real quick, since we're first starting. I did reduce our revenue rates a lot, our sales tax numbers specifically. The last check dropped 30%. We're anticipating it'll go down probably that much more next month. Reduce our revenue rates a lot. The payroll, salaries, and benefits reflect a 4.7 raise. COLA is 1.6. If we want to look at that, I can add that for next time. We'll see where we're at.
Okay.
I cut out community development salaries, cut out some projects that were kind of pet projects, whatever, left in the major infrastructure and left in the splash park. Also, Jared had some IT items. We need to decide if they'll be necessary or not this year, or if we can, whatever we're going to do. And right now we're about $1 million higher on the expense side than our revenues. That would be offset if we get money from the county on the splash park, but we can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it in yet.
Okay.
We also have not received the fire department's requests or several of our normal allocations.
Okay.
So.
And did you only put in the allocations that we already got, or did you put in numbers from last year?
I just put in the ones that we got. I haven't added.
Okay.
Part of it, I don't know if we'll even get them from some people.
We may or may not, I don't know.
You know,
Or they might be double.
I thought if we go down through, we'll try and hit all the departments tonight. As your department's done, if you want to leave, go. It's a beautiful night. If you don't, if you want to sit. We'll wait, I think, on the allocations until our next meeting, and hopefully they'll all be in, and then we can go through them one at a time. That makes sense?
So we're going to start with Public Works?
Public Works, and that is tab 4. Anybody wants to make notes? Randy, do you want to give a synopsis? Anything new?
Well, Telton Hall is, I'm assuming the vehicle's still the one we haven't got yet?
Yep.
Okay.
It is.
So I haven't seen that one. Another park project. Streets, nothing's really changed there other than we are looking at a small motor grader so we can get our alleys done, and it came in at a quote of 182. Wyoming Machinery told us they can really cut that. Not a lot, but they figured they'd cut 4 or 5, maybe 6,000 off that. So that is a new small motor grader, so we can get it. We can't get in our alleys with what we have now. This is too big. That's the only thing that's really added in the streets other than the project of 3rd Street.
How long have we had that one that we have now?
I think it was built in 18. No.
No, I mean, didn't we just buy that last?
I haven't bought a motor grader.
We have, the last motor grader was bought clear back when Dave Andrews and Craig Dills and everything were still there. That's been there for quite a while.
Last year, that's what she's asking.
We had it in the budget, but we didn't buy it.
Oh, okay, because I thought we bought something for the alleys or something.
No, they were looking at a small blade for the skid loader, which would not do the job, so we want to buy a small regular.
We went and tried one at Cat Rental, what the 2 they had, it just won't move any dirt. They're just made to level. So it won't actually dig down and move. So we decided not to waste the money on that. Any questions on streets? 3rd Streets project, we opened bids yesterday, is that correct? And so that project is a go. And that's basically what's here in here, and we're gonna add cedar on this and maybe get some of the sidewalk done here in front of Town Hall, so that'll be on that project. That project, we have $750,000 SLIB grant from that to go into that project, so. What's that?
Water main or something, water break yesterday on the street.
No,
Douglas did.
no, we didn't.
We haven't had one.
I heard.
Yet, knock wood.
Yeah, let's hope not. We didn't find it.
Okay, well, I just didn't know, I just started some conversations this morning.
Yeah, no, we haven't had one. Pest control, nothing's changed there. We're still doing the same thing. Shop, the only thing I've added in there, did we decide, Kelly, on 100,000 until I actually get the numbers from overhead door?
I put 80 in for now.
80 should do it. We want to add on the shop that's off of Birch Street. We got room to add a bay on each side because we need more bays. and it's a pole built. So we want to add bays. I'm waiting for a quote for the overhead door, for the cost of the doors. And then we as a crew this winter, we want to build a lean-to along the alley to put all our attachments in. They're just getting beat up by the weather, the hydraulic hoses and everything. So we're probably looking at about $15,000 for that. So that's all that's added into the shop.
You guys build that or we get a contract?
We'll build, we're not doing the big shop, but we'll do the lean-to. That big shop's 16 foot tall, so. The quote I've got one quote, I got another one coming, just so I know, for sure. Parks Department is the splash pad, is that in the parks, Kelly?
Yes.
Okay.
And it has been reduced from 2.8, we're anticipating 2.2. That
Yep.
could move a little bit, but it did come down, so
And that's completing the whole splash pad, amphitheater.
Yeah.
that's all of it.
All of it,
Everybody
that's
knows, we
everything.
put $1 million in it last year.
I thought it was more than that.
That's $1.2 million.
Yeah, was it 1,
It was
2?
$1 million.
It was $1 million is what we put in it, but it's 2.2 right now for the whole thing. We are asking for some money from the county since they put so much into rec, the rest of the county. We're asking to see if we can't get maybe $1 million out of them. Any money they give us that would go towards that project would be great.
Yep.
My question is to council, as budgets, if this continues to dwindle down, and it does for a couple of years or whatever happens, we're gonna have to decide what we are and aren't gonna work on. I felt the other day I hadn't put this number back in, talking just the other morning, because I thought that was a good thing for our community and something that'll be useful right away, because it shows we're getting the engineering done for the
Parking lot.
parking lot and all that, but we're gonna put that on hold. But right now, I thought we would leave that in besides our infrastructure ones. How's everybody feel about that?
Yeah, as long as we can do something over here to show the community.
Well, that was the thing. We're carrying 1 million over from what we had in this year. We didn't get started, but actually they should have us stuff ready to go to bid here pretty quick, correct? That's my understanding.
For
All this in here.
pretty close.
Yeah.
We're gonna have thumb drive and all that to take to the commissioners
Okay.
tomorrow.
I just think it'd be an uplift to the community, a positive thing, if they saw something like that.
Yep.
Even just, so
And maybe a draw to bring people.
Yeah, I think it's a thing that we need to do that would be our community and people would see right here, and it would help draw for our rec when it gets back open and everything else. I think it's a worthwhile project that we probably shouldn't shelf yet, but if it gets tough, that's one we could shelf.
no, I mean, it's something positive where the kids can.
So that
go,
works?
you know,
No, it's not.
Yep,
I think it's under.
because we'll have the new basketball courts, wintertime, we'll have the synthetic ice and stuff and everything there, and
Tammy does.
I think it's a good project. I just wanted to put that out there for you guys to think about.
Yeah,
Because I figured it'd be done before
Figured we'd have to
Christmas.
talk about some.
This project over here and what would go on around City Hall for the redevelopment around City Hall that we were putting in the plan, those two right now we're putting off because we don't want to do everything around City Hall and then have to tear part of that over
Yeah, but
here
we
to
gotta
do the
advertise
parking
it
lot.
3
So
weeks.
we've kind of put, those two projects will be are engineered, but we'll put those into play later on.
Makes sense.
Yes, Margaret?
Bruce, what are we looking at for south rec improvements?
I don't know.
I just
I don't-
left it where it was last year, basically, kind of annualized it. The rodeo arena, dropped it a little bit. The ball fields, put 5 in there in case we need to do anything. And South Rec improvements, left it at 5 just in case we have anything come up.
We really didn't have a lot to put in there. You guys are going to be doing your ditching and putting the wire in pretty quick for the sound system, correct?
Monday,
Okay.
waiting for the locates to clear, yes.
Okay.
But the sound system's already paid for.
Yeah, the sound system paid for it, but we haven't done the wiring part yet.
No, but that's all was in the pay.
Yeah, that's all in that
paid.
part of it, so yes.
And I already have the conduit bought, and it's already out there in the pole barn.
Okay.
So
There wasn't
Margaret,
any
those
large
are-
improvements for out there.
No major project.
No major
No.
project
Oh,
that's
yeah.
out there.
Nothing planned out there.
Maintenance, basically.
What's that?
Basic maintenance, basically.
Basic maintenance, yes.
Did we ever find out, you got stuff to put like camping and like, remember we
I
talked.
got the pay thing, but I never was given a price, and then we gotta find envelopes too.
Yeah, that's.
Then we gotta figure out who's gonna enforce it and drive through there every night. And
We've been talking about that a long time.
Did we get the thing
Yeah,
for
it's
it?
built. It's
We
done.
just need
It's
the
out in the shop.
envelopes.
David came up with a question the other day to me about whether or not we should start closing South Rec at night and not have any camping at all. We haven't had anything out there. Do we want to go ahead and,
We do have a camper out
do we have their camper now? Okay.
Do you want to close it, David, during this time period? Is that,
just to be consistent with the other campgrounds and
yeah, with the other campgrounds?
people
Yeah,
out there just.
the state,
Look at you
feds.
to this state approved that nothing more than 10, everybody stays 6 feet away and no overnight camping, right? Was my idea.
Yeah. What's everybody okay with doing that?
Yeah, I wouldn't want anybody out there during this time.
I was a little hesitant, but if we get somebody that we don't know out there, if it's not a local resident or something, it's still, I think we should probably not have camping and shut it down and daytime use, but close it at night.
I see a lot of, we've been walking out there.
Sure.
It's really nice to go out and walk during the day.
Yeah, we'd have it open during the day till late in the evening and then close it. Everybody okay with that?
How are we going to enforce closing it? Lock the
As
gates?
gates, we can
As
lock it.
gates on the cattle guard, you would just lock them.
Lock off,
Yeah, we have the ability to close it up.
do we need to make some kind of notification on the highway or the interstate or something that there's no overnight?
We can put a sign out there where you turn down to go down there, or we have it put a sign down there with all the rest of the signs right at the gate that it's closed.
By the cattle guard.
Yeah, at the cattle garden, and Tammy can put it on the information board and out on the website and everything else, that no camping and just daytime use only at South Rec.
I think that makes sense.
Okay?
Is it really gonna cost $95,000 to build bathrooms at the Kimball Park?
That's something that we had in there before.
Oh, okay.
We didn't get it done this year.
Yet,
I left it in. I didn't know if it was something we wanted to continue with.
That's one of those, that was one of the prefab ones, wasn't it?
it's the, like we got down at the baseball park, just not that big. We won't have a
But-
concession stand.
Just so you know, through the impact money as it's coming in, we figured into that the cost of would be to build a set of bathrooms instead at Kimball Park, but across the street on the north end of the Lincoln Building parking area out back there, and also a year-round, they'd be year-round bathrooms and a year-round dump station for RVs. And that would probably, we could take it out of that impact money, and that way that set of bathrooms could be used for Kimball Park, so we don't duplicate two right next to each other. So that would be something that we could take that out of there, and we've got all the money that's coming in. It takes a year and a half, a little over 18 months possibly, before we get all of our money from the impact money. But that, we did mark money to build that facility there on the north end of the Lincoln Building parking area out there.
So we're going to put bathrooms and a dump station behind the building? Is that?
Yes.
Clear right down against,
Right off Aspen.
right against Aspen Street,
Right by the road, right?
right by the road, not up against the building, but clear down at the end, yes.
It makes sense. I mean, we have so many things going on in Kimball Park during the summer activities and stuff. We need permanent bathrooms.
Yeah, we need something, and if we've got money in our impact, we could take, if we can leave that 95 there in case we aren't correct in what we assumed at the time, but I would rather build a year-round set that's right there with the RV dump.
I like the one that we put down in the park.
But those are seasonal, those aren't heated, we have to shut them off and winterize them.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure in our impact money, we put money in there for the bathrooms and the.
Yeah, I know
Yeah, we
we
did.
did. That's what I said.
That's what you
At
said.
117.
Where's your hearing aids?
117 for the,
Yeah, I said we put money in for both.
Yeah.
It'll be a whole deal together.
and 167 for the dumps.
Is there that much demand for an RV dump in the middle of town?
We have people asking about RV dump all the time, and the only RV dump right now, I believe, is down at the,
Camp, or the trailer park.
Yeah.
was the trailer park, and I don't know about the one over there next to you. There used to be one that,
He doesn't have one.
if he doesn't have one, there isn't one in town, and people ask all the time. There used to be one that was for public use out at Eastgate. They shut it down, won't allow anybody to use it. Haven't for quite a few
They're not
years.
the one at South Rec anymore, right there by the bathroom?
Nope.
Nope. Because that would go right into our septic system there, and we have to pump that. It does not go into a leach field.
Wasn't there a problem in pumping that anyway, Randy?
That was taken out before my time, so I don't know that much about it.
We wanted to do it at one time, part of our South Rec project.
I have a question. Did we ever figure anything out on those bleachers at the rodeo arena, those old rickety ones? Are we getting one any this year, or is it budgeted?
No, that's not budgeted in. Those that'll had, 3 years ago, had all new tuba 12s put on.
Well, I thought they were really rickety and ready to fall apart.
No,
No, in fact, we just replaced boards and Caleb's been out there painting all week.
I just went out, we've been walking, they look pretty good. I thought they look pretty good.
yeah, we've been keeping them
Flooring
up.
in there.
I withdraw my question.
That plywood and stuff up there.
Is it for the stuff along the bike path? We don't.
Yeah, we do that in our design so they can come around there, pull in there, pull out, and come around and out onto Birch Street or 6th Street and go. I would think so, yeah, if we build it correctly, yes. Okay, let's,
On
I
the
didn't know
project
what you
expense,
said.
that's the 3rd Street and the splash park is in there?
Where are you looking?
Project,
The
capital project?
yes.
Yes.
It's the splash park.
That's just the splash park.
That's just the splash park?
oh, that's a splash, the 2.2 million,
Yeah.
We have-
that's a complete facility.
Yeah.
That's everything built and in
The
place.
street projects for 2nd and for 3rd are split between streets,
And-
water, and
One,
sewer.
yeah.
And the revenues are split between water and sewer on the income side.
Bruce, do we have to do any of that sewer, the water through the street now? If we're not gonna put the pool in?
We still have to, we're still taking a 4-inch water line, tap in there with a vault, so the water, we'll have water available for the splash park, and they will still be able to use that, tie into that to fill their pool if they ever build it. The sewer line out here stubs 10 feet out of the manhole, which gets it outside the alleyway here, but it's collapsed the rest of the way across the street because it's all clay tile. But in this water and sewer project that we're going to approve on Monday night, the bids came in on this for this 3rd Street and all that, we will take that sewer on across the street into the property, and we'll take at least 2, if not 3.
I think 3 conduits.
Three 3-inch conduits across and down to the power pole right by the generator. So if we need to pull anything from here, from City Hall, out and around, we've got stuff that way, and we can pull across if we need to take anything over that that we need to control from here.
So it'll all be done now, so we can, when it's time to add on, we'll be ready for it.
Yes, that way, when we're done with this street and we pave it in this project, we don't have to cut it again, I hope.
Yes, I have a question for Randy. Are you maintaining your department with the same number of employees that you had last year?
Yes.
And is that sufficient to keep your department running smoothly? How's that going?
Well, during summer, I could use 2 more people. During the winter, it's kind of iffy. So
Is there any way you could get part-time employees or something?
we do during the summer. We get hired 2 part-timers for the parks work.
You're spread out pretty thin.
Yep.
You've got a bunch of projects you can't cover.
Any other questions on Public Works?
It just seems like when you have the million sitting there and then you put the 2 too, that it doesn't add together, obviously.
Yeah, if you look at where it's setting, the one's in the 1920 budget, and we carried the million over into the 22. That's why it doesn't push us over into the 2021 budget.
We haven't done anything except for engineering
Yeah,
on it.
all we've
so
done
it's
is,
carried over.
Mhm.
So I just put the total cost in hopes that hopefully we'll get it done this summer, and that should be the total, hopefully.
any other questions on Public Works?
Water and sewer hadn't changed other than the projects. 3rd Street and 2nd Street, so.
And sanitation hasn't changed.
And sanitation hasn't changed.
And something we haven't done for 3 years, 4 years, is looked at our water and sewer rates to see if we are.
They need to go up.
Yep. And that's already done by ordinance, where we don't have to have 3 readings to change the ordinance. We can look at what it needs to be done, and we can implement it without having to do readings on it now. We have the ordinance that allows us to do that, so. But we do need to look at that because those are all enterprise accounts and they have to be self-maintaining. So that's something that could be coming up.
I thought we talked about that last budget.
Well, we did, we talked about raising them and we didn't this last year. But I've got a feeling we're gonna have to this year.
Yeah.
You might want to wait a little while since we're going
Just so you
through
know.
it.
Yeah, and the other thing is we've also talked about as a group, as department heads, is, you know, right now, since we're having where the payments are coming in, we aren't charging any late fees. We will not do any shut-offs while this is going on, and if we get to something, if it would turn extremely bad here, we've also looked at whether or not we would forego charging for water and sewer for everybody in town for a period of time. That's all ideas that we've talked about that may come about, but right now, you know, our bills are still going out, but we are not charging any interest or late fees, and we will, if somebody's behind enough that if we would be a normal shut-off, we're not doing any shut-offs.
Has there been any change in the amount of illegal billing we have?
No.
Everything's so full.
Someone asked me if there was any way, I guess there's a fee if you pay online, a $3.50 fee. They were wondering if there's any way that could be, it would save them having to, they could just do it online.
We haven't figured out how we can take that off of there.
It's like a third party.
It's a third-party thing. It's not something that we do. It's through the,
He's got to ask right there, ain't he? Another guy right there to take care of that?
I mean,
but it's not
Because
done
it's
through
not
us.
through us.
It's not done through the town. It's done through, I don't know how that got set up.
Well, you could set it up so it comes right through the town, couldn't you?
We can set it up anyway.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we may take a look at that and change it.
That'd be nice.
And that would save them paying online, yes. Because I've never been a fan of the additional fee for the charge that was third-party charge on that.
The problem that we have with using any merchant account is that you get transaction fees, period, if you start using cards of any kind. So
Yeah.
Visa has a minimum transaction fee that gets charged. And whether or not you pass it along is up to you. Currently, we pass it along, we make them pay it. But you can't get away from those transaction fees with any merchant.
You can't. I know.
If you.
I know.
If the town went to an ACH, an electronic check, usually those fees are cheaper. Like, for example, the treasurer's office is charging 49 cents for an electronic check, an ACH transaction, versus 2.5% for a credit card purchase.
And people can also set up with their banks to do bill pay, and I don't know what the banks charge for that, but that's another way, and we still take checks and cash. So if they don't want to pay the fee, I mean, it's just something to consider.
they can also do auto withdrawal, which is free.
Yeah, I do
And we
automatic
can set
withdrawal
up
out of mine.
ACH, so.
Okay, if we don't have anything else for Public Works, let's move on to Police Department.
I don't have a lot of changes. One of the things that I've asked is for salaries. I know that Kelly has put in 4.7. I've asked for 5% for a little bit extra for some merit increases for some people.
I think on yours did do it at 5.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Uniform allowance, I want to keep it at $11,000 because I'm hoping to hire 2 people in the next year to get to full staffing if budget money's allowed. And I'll let everybody know, this is what I'm asking for, but I understand we don't know what the future is going to be like. And I will, just like everybody else, I'll be very fiscally conservative as we start the new fiscal year. I've asked for an increase in vehicle fuel. Right now, we're averaging $1,380 a month for police vehicles. Right now, gas is lower, but I anticipate fuel prices over the next fiscal year going back up to where they were, around the $2.25 a gallon, the price if not higher. I've asked for a $400 increase in operating supplies because ammunition costs have already gone up and we will need to restock our training supply. Under other equipment, that included the cost for the Flex project. I'm asking for a carryover to cover the additional fees that we still need to pay for Flex. We still have two different $35,000 payments on the last two installment payments that we have for the project. I think we might get one this fiscal year, but the final one will definitely be in next fiscal year. I'm also trying to implement a system, it's called DigiTicket. It allows for electronic creation of summons, citations, which will also be transmitted to the court system. There's two ways to do that. We can buy it outright up front and then pay an annual maintenance fee, or we can do a software as a service fee, which would be less expensive on an annual basis. And the break-even point is about 6 years. You gotta have the system for about 6 years to get to the break-even point. So that's something that we can keep it as a software as a service to keep that cost down initially. And then when you do go and buy the software outright, they do give you a credit for the fees you paid up front. I think it's 20% right now.
And your others there, I know that in the Flex program, everybody agreed to that we would buy the extended warranty for all of that?
Yeah.
That's a yearly fee for, I think, what is it, 3 or 5 years?
We are good for another 4 years.
Are we? Okay.
Beyond this initial year, we are good
went
for
down
4
there
more
one way.
years. That was part of the original purchase.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure
Finally got it
that
down.
that wasn't an additional that we needed to add.
Hate that when it happened.
But we are going to
Yeah,
have additional
right.
costs. The Joint Powers Board hasn't figured out how they're going to do it, but we're going to have additional fees for our support for our network and the different software services we have that support the system. So we've got the VPN NetMotion that allows us to connect securely. We have our dual authentication, multi-factor authentication that we're going to have to pay for. And then there's a couple other support fees for the network system. And Jared, what else am I missing strictly for Flex, keeping it up and running?
That should be it, because you've got all the rest of the stuff.
I anticipate our modem costs to be able to be covered under our telephone costs.
Okay.
On an annual basis.
Okay.
We've got a modem in each patrol vehicle, and that's costing us $40 per month per vehicle, and that's for unlimited data.
Okay.
Just so everybody knows, I did set Jared's salary and everything had been included in police. And also the IT expenses, we put a line item in that was not budgeted for last year, but just so we could track it. It has been moved, he has his own department now, where everything will be separated, he'll be on his own. So his salary is off of this, and his benefits, but it'll be on a different page.
I see we didn't put anything in for the low-level site maintenance.
It's under dispatch.
Oh, it's under dispatch now? Okay. I didn't know where you moved it to.
Yep.
That's fine as long as
Didn't you get a new vehicle last year?
we ordered some, but we haven't gotten them.
Okay, so we ordered
We
it.
did a resolution, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, but
they're unavailable.
We got
Shit.
it ordered.
What about the Explorer? Sorry to interrupt, but did we get the Explorer?
No,
either?
we haven't got it either.
God.
Those are they're literally 3 to 4 months out.
We'll probably be into our next fiscal year before we see them.
Well,
Any of them.
you'd think right now it'd be a good time to buy.
Well, it is, but they ain't available.
So here's the problem we ran in with our police pursuit vehicle, the Tahoe that we ordered. Chevy is retooling the Tahoe for 2021. Our order was one of the last ones to get ordered. They canceled the last 5,000 orders. They're not making the last 5,000 orders that they received. We will not get our Tahoe that we ordered. So what I'm asking for is the carryover plus to buy 2 next year, if budget allows at this point.
And I think that we should stick with that, buying 2 in the next fiscal year. Get the one that we didn't get and get another one, so we stay up on our vehicle rotation.
So also with the equipment, the other things, projects I will work on as funding will grow is fixing some equipment issues that I've observed. We've got 2 different in-car camera systems, and both of them are wonky at different times. They're older technology, and we need to get one-to-one consistent system. And I'm looking at a couple of different options. To go with just an in-car system would cost us $5,000 per car to outfit just the equipment, based upon different vendors I've talked to. I'm also looking at switching from a dash cam to a body cam. There's different systems out there that are a whole lot less expensive than having a dash cam by going to a body cam. So that's one of the options I want to look at too as well. We did get new handguns for all of the department, went to the Gen 5 Glock 17. We spent a little bit extra money to be able to buy optics. So rather than just iron sights, we have optics, which is literally the wave of the future. Law enforcement agencies are switching over to an optic. So for you shooters out there, you have a red dot on your handgun. That's one of the projects I want to get on board. We've got 3 different types of manufactured, our rifles that we carry. We have 3 different manufacturers of. Our vendor that we get our handguns from has a trade-in program, which we did with the Glock purchase this year. I'd like to get us all on the same platform with updated optics again. So that explains why I want to leave some of that money in there from the other equipment to carry over so that we can continue to work on some of those projects. I think I hit everything on that page. There's not very much on the dispatch, just the same as far as salaries go, and with animal control, and I would like to get about $4,000 extra for the animal shelter so we can purchase some cat-specific holding cells, for lack of a better term.
There you go.
We don't, so just some background on that for everybody. Usually springtime, summer, we get a lot of feral cats, and we've been getting dumped cats as well, and we have had as many as 3 and 4 different cats in there, and we've got some older cages. We need to get something that's appropriate and built to hold cats. And I think Councilmember Fonz would probably agree with me that that would be the best thing to go, and we wouldn't run into any problems with any animal advocacy groups if we got that in there.
Okay. Any questions for the police department? If not, let's move on.
I do have one more comment, and
Okay.
it kind of goes with the IT department. I did not budget in there some of the changes we've had for the upgraded Office 365 and some other systems that I'm thinking that should be a town expense versus a department expense, like the antiviral software.
Yeah.
Software, so forth, and things like that. So I'm just-
Anything you guys come up with that since we're making him a total separate department now, that was in your departments, like especially the PD, things that move to that we make sure that becomes a town expense and not each department expense. It goes into the IT accounts.
Thank you.
And that goes for all, not just the PD, but everybody is what you're working with, okay?
Yep.
Okay?
The next tab is the museum, community development, commerce block, and Bronco building. Basically, on the museum, I left everything about where it was. If I looked at their expenditures and they haven't spent, I dropped it down. Did take off their capital project, that's when they moved the cabin last year. It's in.
It's in, I know they want to do some log work and stuff on it, but I don't think it's as much as moving the thing, so.
I have not seen anything from them yet, so I don't know if they have any requests. Community development, I did drop out all the wages, dropped out the vehicle, left a few things like our facade grant, economic development, and then some of the memberships and dues and legal, in case we do need to publicize anything. Commerce block, I did leave in the main item, it's the $57,000 that's under capital project, that's for the masonry work. We cannot find a mason to get the project done.
We've been trying.
Left it in.
The 2 quotes we had, called them, they don't want to come do it.
So we're in search. The Bronco building, the $150,000 that's under it was for a study, I believe,
For professional
and we
study, and I'd
have not
like,
had that done.
no, we haven't. I'd like to carry that on over so we can start working on that.
That was the only thing there. I didn't know whether we want to pursue that this year, keep it in there.
I'd like to leave it, and if it's feasible, we'll start on it. If it becomes an item that we need to trim back on the whole budget, that would be an item we could cut, so.
And Scott, you're up.
Yay.
Got it.
Yeah, especially salaries.
Primarily, these are more Kelly's numbers this year. We dropped 40,000 out of the block corners. I guess we just need to know what corners we don't want to finish.
No, we've already spent, we'd originally budgeted 180 for that,
Right.
and we've spent 43, so I just dropped it down. And,
So doesn't that still leave 40, almost 40 short, 38,000 short?
and I can raise that
Okay.
if you think it's gonna come up that high.
Yeah, well, they're not close enough now to know exactly where we're gonna be at.
Okay,
All my other numbers from last year, I left primarily like my particulate mold and air testers. I didn't buy it the first year because what's going on now. So, where that would have been in minor equipment, that's been cut 3696. What was in last year's budget, I don't know if we just don't want to pursue those things this year, or
what was in the minor equipment, Scott, I'm sorry?
in the minor equipment was, the beginning was 5696. You allocated 2,000, leaves it short of 3696.
And
What did you
what's
say?
it for, though?
These aren't your numbers?
Well,
What was included in your minor equipment?
minor equipment was
Last year was
in the minor
5,800.
equipment, we had the
We have-
air Q tester, which is, I don't know if you want to go into detail. An air Q tester would be as if we have a family that has children in the house, and the house is kind of a hoarder home and protecting the children, so you'd have to do per state statute air quality tip. And mold and particulate was for abatement and.
But we haven't gotten those,
No, I have
those
not
things yet?
gotten those. I just waited, I had them up for this coming year because.
Because there was
I think
nothing
we can hold
noted
off
on the
on it.
sheet you
Yeah,
gave
let's-
me, so
let's-
what I
Yeah.
went off of was what had been spent.
Oh, okay, yeah. And what was set in there is, I hadn't done yet because, and I still don't know, is this gonna be enough in this year to do it, or I don't know. When
We
is-
just, right now, let's go with your number. If you can justify part of it, we can change it
Yeah.
during the 3 readings, or if things come back and our revenues pick back up, if we need to add some stuff down the road next year, we can do a budget amendment.
Yeah, that's,
But let's go with the numbers you got right now.
okay. Then, the only other one was, on the bottom side of the other equipment. That was for after all the scans were done last year, would be the program software for organizing, sorting, and that was a number for everybody's department. But again, with Jared on board now, we may be able to come up with, and I don't know, that'd be consuming quite a bit of your time.
I'll
Trying
put that
to,
back in, I didn't, yeah,
and if we could do it, if we don't spend it, super, but at least it's,
it's there.
and I would have to talk to Jared in more detail if that's something that we could,
And then the abatement is for the mowing.
yes.
And I did lower that just a hair. I don't know if some of the people that we charged last year will now take care of it.
Already by my drive around last week, I think the people that we hit last year are gonna be the first ones to be cleaned up this year. Sorry, but,
Because I looked at what we were billed
Yeah.
from the mowers last year, and it was at 12,000.
okay.
So I can
And
adjust a little bit if you
Still the
want.
large primary of that was Jan Gray, correct?
Mhm.
All right, so yeah, other than that,
Okay? Any
Um,
questions for that one? Okay, we're done with that. We'll go to clerk and treasurer.
On mine, just so everybody's aware and we're on the same page, on the salaries, that includes mine and half of Lori's. Her other half is on the utility side as far as, I think it goes into water and sewer.
Okay,
The annual audit, I increased by 2,000 just because it seems to be going up a little bit, just as a buffer. Last year we had it at 38.5, 38.6, and everything else I left pretty much the same. As of right now, Tammy and I, neither one know if our travel and training will be needing to change or not. They've canceled everything, so we don't know. I
I'd
did
leave the
leave-
line items and figure out, well, if that's gonna be everybody traveling and training anywhere, we'll just have to see what happens. We don't know.
And it could go to stuff online,
Yeah, very possible, okay?
so that's mine.
Can I ask a quick, like with the new copier, I know we're getting charged every month. Is that, in the paper last year, seemed like we went through a lot of paper last year. And I didn't put anything in my budget to kind of cover paper.
Well, quit using some
I've
of
split it out.
We started at some point splitting it out, but who are we splitting it out between?
Between dispatch, you, finance, Scott, and I think a little bit to Public Works.
Okay.
And are we supposed to budget for the copier, share
I
maintenance?
think your office
cost of it?
supplies will cover it.
Okay, that's what, all right, I just want to make sure.
Copier, are you dividing that up, or is that just out of town hall?
The copier, I think, is just out of town.
Yeah, so you're
Okay.
not paying for that. Yeah, out of
Paper
your
is,
budget.
paper is split.
Yeah.
Paper cut, paper
Pay attention who's using too much.
I will.
More comes out of his budget, yeah.
both sides.
You set it up for accounting.
Just stop it now.
Just saying.
I'm just saying.
The system will do it.
Yep.
What are you waiting for, Jared?
Okay, Tammy?
On mine, I'm looking through here, like my workers' comp my workers' comp is down quite a bit. Went from almost 900 down to 300. I don't know what we did last year, but it just,
Our rate is really low for office staff.
yeah, and we
Compared
just
to everybody
budgeted
else.
way more than we ended up needing. So,
Okay.
so that came down. My advertising stayed the same. I am concerned about that though, because, well, actually, okay, not so much advertising. It was more legal. Do I have legal in here?
Advertising and legal.
Oh, advertising and
Same
legal,
line.
because where did all that, we've had such a significant jump in that this year, the
We've
legal.
used the attorneys a lot more.
You see your attorneys a lot more.
So is that, where is that getting budgeted out per department, or?
On the legal, if I can decipher from their notes as to where it goes, yes.
Okay,
And the same on the advertising.
okay,
I
yeah. the
split it.
advertising.
Can you
So,
track that, or like the stuff they do for,
We could start tracking it and see if we can break it out a little different. But right now, let's make sure we're covering
I
enough.
just want to make sure it's covered.
Do you think
because
10's
we're-
enough, or do we need to bump that?
I don't think advertising for me is gonna go up significantly. It's just so everybody knows, we kind of have them over a barrel.
Where does the advertising newspaper come
Under advertising,
in? Is it out of Tammy's budget?
yes.
Well,
Not
and it
all of it.
depends.
Not all of it, but
A good portion of it does, but like if Randy runs an ad for something,
For
It-
bid or,
it
Or
comes out
when
of
we go
his
to bid or
budget.
anything.
If David runs an advertisement for something, it comes out of his budget.
Advertising out of that department.
So do
What's that?
yeah, it goes out of the other departments.
Yeah.
you think you have enough of advertising to cover the newspaper? I know it's very expensive.
Well,
We're-
here we have a new thing with the newspaper.
Mhm.
The newspaper is closing their Glen Rock office.
I see that.
So we,
If you notice, they are printing the DUT budget, the Glen Rock Independent, and the Wright Wrangler all together.
so they'll all be on Wednesdays now. They no longer have a local branch, but they really need us to continue to advertise. We no longer have to.
Will
But
that
if,
make your advertising more expensive or less expensive? Or the
Probably
same?
should stay the same in their charges
as
to
long
us.
as we continue to.
And we talked about that the other day upstairs, Tammy and I did, and we thought we would go ahead and just keep sending it to them we don't have to, but I think we will.
We don't want to be the reason why they go under, and if we stop doing our minutes and our advertising through them.
If cities and counties in Converse County quit doing their advertising with them, they'll go under. The local papers will go under.
Is that it? Does everybody?
But just so you have enough to cover that.
Yes.
In case it is more expensive to advertise.
Yes.
The only thing that happened there is that they raised our rates on what they were charging for what we do, so.
And I don't think they're going to.
And that's been a guess, and they've been consistent, so
Yes.
if that's something we have to amend later on in the next fiscal year, we'll amend it.
Tammy, the attorney's fees do not come out of yours.
Oh,
They're
they
under
don't.
professional services.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Dues and memberships, I bumped that up $100 because most of our stuff has not increased in quite some time, but I was a little worried that it might this year. My postage is the same. My maintenance agreements went down. My maintenance agreements went down from 8 to 3 because we think there was Muni code. Last year we had some upfront, original payments that.
Are you covering any time we have to send them something, you got a little in there to cover, like we,
We're
do they
not.
charge us when we do any ordinance stuff and they redo it?
Nope,
So
they don't
that's-
charge us for any of that.
Okay, all right.
No. Telephone is in there now. It wasn't in there last year. We had some kind of a weird thing with the phones. We didn't have them budgeted. The travel and training I've left the same, but that could, again, the thing is, I have two travel and training things scheduled. They haven't officially been canceled yet. I'm anticipating they're going to be. And so a lot of this money will just transfer over. My office supplies, we bumped it up because I'm always just a little bit under, or I'm a little bit over, but there's a minute book. My minute book is full. And we've used this consistently the same minute books along the way, and I priced them out and they're $350 for one book. So we bumped that up a little bit. And then my data processing supplies I dropped by $300, and my other equipment stayed the same in case I have to buy another computer, because I've had to do that every year since I've been here.
You've been a little tough on them.
But,
You've been a little tough on them.
well, good. Now I have Jared, so I can blame Jared for everything.
Jared took the little tire buddy out from underneath of her desk.
Yes. He takes care of everything.
So tab 9 is fire department. We haven't received anything from them yet, so that will be coming. Last year, I believe it was 143,000. Either that or 134,000. I can look in the.
I think it was 143, it's right in there, and I don't, they were talking a little bit of it increased the last time they discussed it a little bit, but I will email Rob and Hummer both tonight when we get done here to see if they can't get something to me before we have another meeting.
And Jared, you're up.
Bruce, question on the fire department. Is their budget still including the cost of hiring a chief?
Yes, the money's still in there, and we'll probably
It's
go
under
ahead.
the professional services
It's under
category.
professional service category, it's not in their budget, but it's in the town budget,
It's still in town.
under professional, yes. Okay,
So mine being new, we've tried to piece together everything since we don't really have a lot to go on. Everything kind of was just lumped in a big group before, and a couple things like PCs and stuff were taken out of individual budgets. So some of the big ones like IT software subscriptions, I had that created. That would cover Office 365 for everybody, Sophos, the antivirus. I added some things in there like digital signage and wireless presentation stuff. Just a lot of things now are subscription based. So if we want to add anything like that, if we're going to get a big signboard out here and we want to start putting stuff on it, most likely it'll be a subscription. That when we, one of the things I'd like to start doing relatively inexpensive is start putting up digital signage. So that would be other ways to get information out to people, whether that's a TV sitting out here in the lobby, or at some point, I don't have it in the budget this year, but we could do like an outdoor display on the outside of the town hall, kind of facing Superfoods. That'd be something that we could, similar to the signboard over there, but something a little more interactive that we could put information on there. It might be another way to get information out to people. But again, that's not in this. That would be a subscription that would cover something like that. And I did put in the NetMotion and the Duo multi-factor into the IT software subscriptions, because again, we'll have a portion of that coming from the county. And NetMotion right now I'm using for some of the surfaces for everybody else so that they can connect back right now, as well as for the police department. Postage, maintenance agreements. So we do have ongoing maintenance agreements for all of the network hardware and stuff that we've bought. So it's basically it's 24/7, 365 next day replacement for that hardware if it was to fail. So especially for like our police department, we don't have the opportunity for that equipment to fail. Now, we have redundancy built in that we can continue to operate if something was to fail, but we can't keep running on a single piece of equipment. So that's what that, and as well as support. So if we had any issues, I can call 24/7, 365, but that covers that. Travel and training, that was just something, I saw in other budgets. There is ongoing training, obviously, for technology. Whether or not it would be $6,000, I haven't priced any of that out, or what would fit, if there's anything specific to government technology, in which I'm sure there are, but I just
I'm
haven't.
sure there's gonna be.
Right, and a lot of the stuff now with the way everything's going might just end up being online, and it might be relatively inexpensive, so that may not even be needed there for as far as the travel portion. Minor equipment, keyboards, mice. IT hardware, we did get a lot of our desktops and stuff replaced this year. We got some new Surfaces coming. We do have some stuff still to take care of. Florey's and Kelly's are two machines that haven't been replaced recently. Kelly did get a Surface, so Tammy's working off a Surface right now on a dock, so we may just go to just get a dock for Kelly, and she can work directly off the Surface. Fire department, I kind of left stuff in there not knowing what we were going to need possibly for a fire chief. So if there's a fire chief and a couple paid firemen that show up over there, they don't really have a whole lot of technology right now. I think they've got a couple PCs, and Rob was looking at buying a new one for their little dispatch area. And then after that, they've got some random machines kind of around. So there might be a need to get some equipment going over there. Vehicle, gas, and oil, office supplies. I thought about the MFP or the copier agreements and stuff like that. I know that's kind of an office supply thing, but it's also, it could be technology. So I put some money there. That's something that could probably be shrinked, the office supplies one, because I don't know that I'd get to 4,000. But it's either that or you're buying printers. Essentially is the way I look at it. So maybe the lease portion of that could be an IT expense, versus, outright buying printers, because some of that decision making will probably fall into my category, I'm sure, or at least, be a joint effort there. Operating supplies, we're going to have a few things like network cable and jacks, wall plates, ends, UPSs and stuff. We already have. We need to replace the UPSs in the two-way rack. They're starting to go bad. We had to replace the UPSs in our comm rack over here. Those things tend to just die every 2 years. I mean, it's as much as you'd like to keep those running. IT software's a little big. That's because we need to probably look at purchasing with the server infrastructure, and it kind of goes along with the server infrastructure, would be software to cover all that. So the hypervisor, which is running virtual machines and stuff like that on the servers, as well as the management of all those. And Windows Server licensing is not cheap, and so that tends to fall in that category as well. Right now we have a license to run 2 Windows servers, which is what all we're running. We need to run a few more, and to do that it's about $1,800 a license to run one of those. There is some options like buying a data center license, which lets you run unlimited Windows servers, but that's significantly more even than the $10,000. So a lot of this stuff is just things to get us kicked off. It wouldn't be a recurring expense that would probably show up the following year. So just real quick, I want to talk about the capital project expenses. Some of these, I sent out a note with Kelly, kind of prioritizing those. I know it's more of a wish list, and they all, I'd like to see all of them done, but again, with the way everything's going, there may not be the money to do all of them. Server infrastructure is kind of priority 1. Right now, we're running all of the town servers off of that, what we're lovingly calling Franken server back there, which I kind of rebuilt off of a county server.
I think we need to upgrade from that.
Right, so we need to get off Franken server, and so that's usually the typical structure for those are 3 servers and 2 storage devices. And the reason you do that is for failover. So that if one was to go down or something, that you're able, and it's also load balancing. It can get expensive. Some of the new stuff can get in, that's why I put $150,000 in there. That would also cover some of the other, projects that we need going forward, like the camera system and stuff. And things that may happen out here if we start doing stuff with, big signboards in various locations, as well as, any more data processing that we want to do for the town. So that, I would consider that priority number one. The second one would be fiber project from here to the fire hall, and the public works. And, I'd already I'm working on getting a quote. I just put $75,000 in there. I would assume that would get it done. It may not. It could be cheaper. It was, most likely all of it will be aerial. It'd just be strapped to telephone poles, and the deal would be trying to find a path. I had short power line out looking around to try to see if they could find a path that would be easiest to get it through there. But really the primary goal there is to get all of their equipment back onto our network. So that eliminates a lot of things like their internet. That would all come through here. So we wouldn't be paying separate internet bills. I think the fire department actually pays for 2 separate internet bills right now. So that would be eliminated. If we go, eventually I plan to go to a voice over IP phone system. So those are phones that run over the internet. So instead of an analog desk phone, I know there was some money spent in this system right now, so we won't look at upgrading that any. But when we go to that, their phone system could actually ride over that fiber back through our network and out, and then so you could cut out all their phone lines and stuff. So essentially, they wouldn't have any, telecom utilities that they'd have to pay for at any of those sites. Camera system, number 3. Currently, we do not have any cameras in town hall or any town buildings. So police department has 1 or 2 in some small systems for their use, but really we don't have any surveillance of any of our properties. And so I think that's a really crucial security feature to implement. We now have the equipment on the back end to support that. As far as network hardware, this would really cover, and I think I had in my initial, it would cover cameras for the town hall and the parking lot areas, and maybe even out in the splash pad or something looking on those areas, because, liability concerns and stuff, I can imagine as soon as we start having a bunch of people around there, it would be nice to actually have video footage to back up things that are going on, damage to property or, other things that are happening out there. And then it also, I think that would cover some cameras for the public works. If we were to get the fiber project done, it would cover cameras for public works and the fire department. So it's just some basic exterior access cameras so that we would have some eyes if needed. Obviously, it's not daily monitoring or anybody watching or playing Big Brother. It's just to have the ability to go back to it if something was to happen.
I think you've got some good projects lined out, and I think we should stick with them.
Does your budget include enough money for these 3 projects that you just explained to us? Do you have enough money to cover all 3 projects?
The capital project expenses?
Yeah, I think she has them all wrapped up there.
I have them all together at the 300
So yeah, I would expect, and a lot of those are high estimates because again, I don't have any quotes or any figures right now. I would expect most of those to come under budget.
And we all have to realize this is a totally new department. There may be some other things come up in the next fiscal year that we may have to add to this department to take care of things, but I think he's prioritized some pretty good projects that we've been needing to get done for quite some time. So I think if we can hold his budget, I think we should.
I would increase it if I did anything.
Yeah, I just think I'm just going to say there's enough of them beating you up for wanting to hire him, but we definitely needed it, and there's a lot of projects we're going to keep Jared busy for a very long time.
Security and communications are absolutely vital for our community.
Correct.
And that's where it sounds like that's where his are heading in the right direction. We need to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jared at all?
I think monitoring that park though, and
Yeah.
is a good idea.
That's why when we were out here looking the other day, is to pull enough conduit in so we got plenty to pull back and forth so we can carry everything into that whole facility to take care of things and be able to run and take care of that over there. So that gets us through departments. If there isn't any other questions, I didn't want to hold you guys here for, I don't want to spend hours and hours on this. So take your books home, I guess. If you don't have any other questions, look at them. If you come up with something, Do we have an idea of maybe our next meeting at all?
Just looking, I'd like to have at least one more before we have to do a reading. What about like the 23rd?
My 23rd is open right now.
I have a golf time at
Pardon,
11:20. No, just kidding.
there's a budget.
What was it, the 23rd?
The 23rd, and I'm open to changing times or whatever. If 6 doesn't work for people, I'd like to do it a little bit early, but where you still have some evening left. I don't
5
care.
o'clock.
If you don't mind me strolling in a few minutes late, I'm okay with
You're
6.
fine. Okay.
This is good.
And I don't have a problem with it. Whatever works for everybody is fine.
Um,
I don't want these to run 2 and 3, 4 hours we have in the past, and
That
I don't
might-
think we need to. 23rd, not a good day for you?
I will double check. That might be the hospital board meeting, but I think we changed that to the 30th.
Okay.
I'll
Just
let you
me
know tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. Everybody's got what I have received so far on the allocations. We won't go into them tonight, but if everybody will take the time to kind of look through them. Couple major ones to look at. We have a new request from GEDC, which it's 4,000. They didn't ask for anything last year. One of the biggies to me jumped out was Boys and Girls Club. Last year, we allocated 20,000. They're asking for 50 this year.
When we go over those, I can tell you why and what they're
Right.
up to, so.
But just look through what's in there. It's everything I've received, so.
You did get one from GEDC? I have it written down, like.
I got it in,
was like,
yeah.
oh, gotta get that in.
Yeah. And tomorrow I'm going down to the county to get them some,
Oh, is that
No.
in here?
For
get
sure.
some of
I
that
just
county.
figured-
One last
Some of
thing,
that
we
county
weren't gonna
money.
say anything because we haven't got the numbers yet, but walk path, we got notice to proceed. I should have the notice, the numbers tomorrow, and Kelly and I will work on that, getting it into probably parks. I'm gonna assume that's where that'll
Part
go.
of it's already in this year's budget, and we'll see how quick they're gonna get going, how much we think we can get done before
We already
next
got the-
fiscal.
Ad getting ready to go next Thursday and Thursday after that, and mandatory pre-bid. They didn't wanna do a mandatory, and I said, I absolutely wanna do a mandatory pre-bid because I don't wanna fly-by-nighters just reading it.
GEDC, I think's got 50 grand for that project, so
Yeah,
it'd be nice,
yes, hallelujah.
really nice.
Well, that would be something in there, the project's for the new part of it, but we did need to come up with some money somewhere to resurface the center part of it, and that might help us out immensely in that. As we're doing the other ends, we'd probably get a pretty decent price to repave all the way down through,
Do the whole thing at once.
do the whole thing at once. So
And some
any other-
lights,
Yeah,
lights
some
Like-
additional, well, we've
all
got
in
lights.
On the
We're adding
bridge?
like, what's that?
the lights on the bridge.
Well, with that was the bridge talked about and all the new sections, so.
Nice.
And we also have that money that'll be coming from community development for equipment, like exercise equipment. Remember the community, not community development, community gas money?
Community Wami, community gas, we thought
voted
we'd
last
spend that
year
money
at your
towards that on
suggestion.
the pathway, so. Yep.
Find out what we're gonna put, what we were talking about.
Top secret, can't tell you until they're in.
The young lady at White Oaks, what's her name,
Emily.
Emily has stopped me 3 or 4 times in the parking lot asking about if we're gonna ask for anything from White Oaks on any of our projects this year.
Well, hell yeah.
I think over there.
I think if we ask for some money, we should ask for money, additional money for this project over here, help cover that cost.
And I think that's kind of where they're wanting, and she also, I guess somebody talked to her about the gazebo thing in the corner maybe?
Yeah, that's part of the parking lot project, but if they want to put money towards that system, that part of it too, but right now for this, I've got a feeling until we see, we get back, our economy gets back, I want to put this right here on hold, but, so, the one I would like
Phase
to.
2, there you go. Phase 2.
Yep, yeah, that's phase 2 of adding that, but if things turn around and we can do that and get started on it, it would be great. But we kind of prioritized those the other morning and thought, if there's one, both of those could go down, but
No, you're
we'd
not.
still need to do our infrastructure.
I know you're
So,
not in
but we're-
tomorrow,
This one I would really love to get done.
Oh, yeah,
and we'll,
oh, yeah, that's.
I agree with Roy. What a
Come on, Kelly, even when it's.
morale boost to the
Yes.
whole community,
Right there.
seeing a project like that happen.
Yep.
The other day about a building.
I mean, huge.
Yeah, huge deal. I think it's something that'll,
With the paperwork.
things turn around. It's a huge draw for our whole community.
I know things are in the gutter, but
Yeah, but
they never last forever. man.
no, it's never gonna last forever, but you know, we get it built, we get it done, all the new playground stuff, all the flash pad, being able to have whole community events over there and do things, I think it's a great thing for this community.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, pretty sure.
All right.
Hey, guys,
done?
appreciate it.